Hello, Billy Ho here. Happy 4th of July Eve. Well, this is a special kind of show today. I didn't have anything scheduled for the 4th, but I got to thinking and we had conversations over the weekend about this ways of grilling, barbecuing. If your preferred word is barbecue, I just call it grilling as a blanket term. I am more of a barbecue type. I slow cook my stuff. I don't fire sear it off and then throw it on a plate and stuff like that. So anyway, the first thing I wanted to do, I said, I need to find a way to give out some tips that I've learned over the years. I started grilling when I was 18 years old at working at Applebee's on the grill back then. So I learned how to sear the meat. I learned how to, do the finger method where you could tell the thickness or the medium rare and medium and difference between that. And anybody who don't put their fingers on the meat are doing it wrong. I don't care what you say. You're grilling it at 350 degrees. You're not getting any germs on it. So get that out of your head right away, germaphobes. You want to feel the meat while you're cooking it, especially hamburgers. So you can see whether they're meat, because undercooked, nothing worse than an undercooked hamburger, really. Hamburgers need to be medium well to well done. And we're going to go over that. Stick around. I got a finished product that I grilled today. That's a very special recipe that's a little bit different than the one that I'm going to give you. So stick around for that. And please subscribe to the channel. I do horse racing. I do all kinds of different sports, PGA golf, football and whatnot. But I wanted to get into this just as kind of an esoteric type of evergreen content that you can always go to if you need it. So this is how to grill a really, really great burger for your 4th of July patrons at your party. So smash the like and let's go. Okay, first thing is first, clean your grill. I use a propane gas grill. It's a small 2-burner just for me and the folks and just a few friends. I don't really do a lot of big grilling, but I have what I want. And to keep that thing clean, because you don't want a 4-alarm fire when you're cooking your burgers, because we're doing 80-20 burgers here. We're not doing no super Laura's lean ground beef shit. So when you cook burgers on a dirty grill, you know what I'm talking about when that fire hits the bottom and you're sitting there using a spray bottle trying to put the thing out you don't want to do that. You might need a spray bottle to douse the flames a little bit if you're cooking, especially a lot of burgers, but you definitely have to have a clean grill. So that's number one. And also, obviously, you want to make sure if you're entertaining people, you want to make sure you have a propane tank that's full or a backup, because there's nothing worse than grilling for 15 or 20 of your friends and you run out of propane in the middle of grilling. And then you have to scramble to the store and find some Walmart or somebody that can swap one out for you. You don't want to do that. And charcoal, you always want to have plenty of charcoal. And believe me, I've tried them both ways. I was convinced. I grilled on charcoal, nothing but charcoal, for probably a year and a half or 2 years. But I just got to the point to where I was like, it's almost more trouble than it's worth. And if you cook it like I cook it, it don't matter, because it's all about the prep and the grilling skills, baby. So burgers, like I said, 80-20 Angus preferred. You definitely want to use a patty maker. I learned this the hard. I mean, you can sit there and do that, but you're going to end up with misshapen and flattened on the sides, and then it's going to grill up into like a little ball. So if you get a patty maker, 4.5 inches, because you don't want hockey pucks. I got one in there that I bought, and I didn't end up using it because it made them too small, and they came out like little thick hockey pucks, and they take forever to cook. You don't want that. You want at least 4.5 inches wide. I'm showing you a picture of that right now. 80-20 ground beef. And then what we're going to do is get you like a cutting board or a butcher's block or whatever you have at home, and get your meat out, open it up, whether you got a pound or 2 pounds or whatever, and spread it out along your cutting board. And then what you're going to do is take a little bit of flavor, like Lowry's flavored meat tenderizer is what you want. You want a flavored meat tenderizer. You want some sea salt and pepper, or I like to use just some generic steak seasoning. So you season the meat with the tenderizer, and then you hit it with the sea salt. And then you just sprinkle. If you're using like steak seasoning, you don't need much of that stuff because it's pretty strong. Pepper either, because you don't want that spicy and indigestion type of burger. You want something that's going to be good and mellow for you. So the less on the pepper in, and just a little bit of dash of this and that and the other. And a lot of people do a lot of different things. Like the one at the end I'm going to show you is a cheddar bacon burger. So with ground beef, you can put almost anything inside of it. And then basically what you're going to want to do is roll them up. You still have to smash them and roll them a little bit into a ball. But once you get them into a ball, you want 3 or 4 to each pound of meat that you do. So that's like a third pound or a quarter pound burger. And anything bigger than that at a barbecue, you're drinking beer. You don't want a half pound, big gigantic quarter pounder. Third pounders are great. That's usually what I go with. But you take the ball and you put it in the press, and I'm showing a picture of the press, 4.5 inches, and you press it real good, and then you take it out and you're good to go. And you also probably want to have some wax paper handy in case you have to make a whole bunch of burgers. If you're entertaining 15 or 20 people, you're cooking 40, you might cook 40 burgers. So if you're doing it that route, you definitely want to go quarter pound or even smaller. But you want wax paper to separate them, and you want a big tray to lay them out on. So you lay them all out, and then you lay down the paper and you stack them up, 6, 8, 12, or however you want to do it. And then what I like to do is once I've prepped my burgers, I like to cover them up and then put them in the freezer, wrap them up or whatever you want to do it, put them in the freezer for 20 or 30 minutes. It doesn't take that long because they're going to thaw right back out. But what you want to do with that is just firm them up more. That way you don't have, nobody wants burgers falling apart on the grill. That's the stupidest thing in the world. You don't need to do that. Especially once you use a patty maker, you're generally probably not going to run into that. But I always like to do the frozen route because they're not frozen solid. They're just lightly, they're just firmer is all it really is. So anyway, after that, you want to fire up your grill, get it up to temperature somewhere in the neighborhood of 300 to 350. I like 350. And the cook time is going to be about 15 or 20 minutes. Depending on, how big you made the burgers. But the main thing, this is the most important part, is once you get them up to speed and you get your burgers on the grill, you want to be a nurse, not an Uber driver. Okay. And what I mean by that is you're not pulling up to the grill, dropping the burgers off and then taking off and then coming back and getting them later. You don't want to do that. You don't come back to flip and then come back later and they're done. You need to nurse them. You need to keep an eye on them. You need to move them around the grill to where the hot spots are, and you need to watch out for flames because, nothing worse than a flaming burger. I'll show you a picture of that. That is no. You don't want your flames all over your burger like that. Maybe just for a second or two, just to show off, and it might look neat. But you'll ruin your burger if you sit under an open flame like that. It'll be a charred piece of coal. So anyway, you want to leave your burger on the sear for a few minutes. And then the first thing I do is I pick them up and I rotate them a quarter turn. That gives them those cool looking little cross marks that you see in the restaurants. But anyway, all it does to me is it just moves the burger to a different angle. And then once they sear for 5 minutes or so, I always like to pick them up and put them on the top rack and then close the grill and let them go for a few more minutes. That's why it takes 15 to 20 minutes to do this in my way, because then you're spending an extra 5 or 10 minutes on the top rack. So you want to make sure they get good and cooked without burning them. And then that's the best way that I know to do it. That way you can be distracted for a few minutes at a time and you don't come back to a 4-alarm fire. So anyway, after they cook up top, then you can flip them and you rinse and repeat. You basically another couple minutes, you turn them, then you stick them up on top of the grill. And that way they're already on the top rack. And then you can start with your cheeses. You can go ahead and throw your cheese on there or whatever you want to do with that. And you can also, once you clear your grill off and you got your burgers up top, you can throw your buns on the grill to grill your buns. And the best way to do that is just put a little bit of margarine or butter or whatever you put on your burger, just lightly coated, and then lay that sucker face down on your grill and let it go for about 3 to 5 minutes or whatever, however hot your grill is. And then you got nice toasty buns if you want to go that route too. But this is what they look like when they come out. These are my cheddar burgers, cheddar bacon burgers that I made today for this video and to eat. I already ate one. It was outstanding. And I dare you to give me a restaurant that would tell me otherwise. But anyway, I take my grilling seriously, and I mean what I say when I say be a nurse, because the more you pay attention to what you're doing, the better things come out in life in general. So keep that in mind. So this is Billy Ho Sports. Subscribe to the channel. I appreciate you watching the video, and I really, really hope it helps you this 4th of July. Have a good time and stay safe. Go America.